Jeff is going to be here. Fazan from California is coming through town to help us do a nice piece. And I said, okay, we have an insurance in place. You guys got paint. Let me know if you need anything else. Just have fun. So yeah, this was a really low investment, high impact in terms of what we've done. Like I said, this was very driven grassroots. So Jeff Goring invited a friend and, you know, got Will to come help them, and that's what happened. My name is Dina Jubrak. I am currently the Treasurer Secretary of Southern Alberta Pop-Up Parks Association. We're not reinventing the wheel, we're just bringing in something that we see that works well in other places. The culture, part of the reason we get to spray paint here is the art on those trains. Like, honestly, some of those folks likely got into trouble back in the day for painting those trains, and I think that's the inclusivity bit, right? We're incorporating, we don't have to be the bad guys to do this. We can do it with consensus and still have lots of fun.
I finally started doing this today, actually my first time, and I want to show something that's part of me. So I'm doing this painting of my siblings as bugs, because my grandma calls us her fur bugs. So I'm putting an art theme on this, and I just want to show something that is me to this community and how much I care about it. So that's pretty much why I'm doing this, and I'm so excited to do it.
It's cool to see that. Just for me, I grew up doing graffiti, and I haven't, it's when I'm being involved in that culture, and I see the aspect of nowadays. It's a lot of times it's using more for, or just as art. Like a lot of times graffiti, they'll group graffiti into like someone scribbling a Crips tag to a full-blown mural that they paid thousands of dollars for. They'll group it all into graffiti, and Medicine Hat has so much potential in the aspect of so many quality businesses, quality people. You want to make it more inviting, and by doing the art and having a spot where the art will constantly change, it's cool because you have people coming down here taking pictures of it, and it's just popping up all over the place. If you're a creative person, and if you're not creating, then it's just something's off in your life.
They asked me to come out and do something fun down here, so I decided to just embrace my childhood and go with the classic cartoony Ninja Turtles. Went to the college here for art and design, and just I really like the art community here. The downtown rejuvenation that's going on here, it's just been great. And I hope to add to it one day with a little gallery downtown. Doing this sort of stuff helps with that community too, and just like letting them, they're changing their dark spaces to bright areas is a good thing, I think, for their mental health too.
When there's want, need, and opportunity, I really try to thread them together and make something happen. And so this has been my passion. So find the right people for the right mission and who have the heart to do it. It wasn't really hard to find some folks who want to come paint with us this year. It was pretty easy. And businesses that reach out and say, hey, how do I connect with you artsy folks to like put a mural on my wall? So it was an uphill battle in the first few years, I want to say, but I think people are accepting and starting to see the benefit for the city, for the downtown businesses, and just it's prettier when there's paint on. I'm super happy that the folks who bought this business and are running it right now were inspired to do it and were inspired to use it as an outdoor space, because we don't have that many of those in town. And you know what? Like, we have such great weather for when we have great weather. Like, why not? At one of those stages, we felt like it could be a cool thing to paint stuff here because it was just very central. It was right across from the Medicine Hat mural. That's kind of what ignited that initiative. And I approached the business owner at the time, told him what we could do for him. We helped him apply for the downtown beautification grant, and essentially all the funds went for purchasing of materials and paying the artists for the mural. So at the time we did this mural, and the other side of the building had a different mural on it, and the design was Medicine Hat appropriate. So really focus on what we have, which was the coulees and the valley and the river and the beautiful sunset that we got here. But traditionally what we do, we say, what is the challenge, where are the funds, and how do we bridge the gap? And the challenge was, it's really ran down and neglected. Where are the funds? The funds are in the beautification grant. How do we bridge the gap is, if we need to help you put together that grant, we will. and sometimes it's more work hours for us, quite a bit work hours for us. Kaylee's laughing in the background there because there's quite a few like midnight submission deadlines submitted at 11:57 p.m. and that's happened before, and yeah, that's what we do. This is honestly, we're a conduit. Actually, a couple of years after I got involved initially, so when I started participating in pop-up parks, we had a few logs, a couple of planters. There was definitely a beautiful hops plant that was here. There was a peeling off mural, and this one's peeling off again, but that's been way before. It was like an older mural. There was a couple of tags. Some of them weren't very appropriate, and maybe we had like a little name patch in the back. And yeah, I was just, as the person who knew how to use Facebook in our little group of friends, I came to do that. I came to do a little bit of social media promotion. And so we started with that. We gardened at that year with the folks from the Link class from Samish Immigration Services. They had a big group of folks from Syria that arrived that year. And so levels 1 and 2 of English, and we, used very basic language skills. It was very fun for me because I come from the Mediterranean basin as well, so I faced the same challenges. Once you utilize a space, you kind of ignite that idea of a space is usable. Where I think that this lot has been empty for so many years with this for sale sign and this very detailed plan for development that was very expensive because it included disturbance of the ground significantly, which would have risked the foundations of the historic buildings around us. And those buildings were like, well, that's a horrible idea. You have to put all these extra insurances in place and extra construction in place, and that made the project of owning this space very costly. And so once we started it, making it more friendly and actually utilizing it. So in the space, once it became more usable and more friendly, we have started hosting art walks. So set up some booths, put some tables, bring some artists, like a little artisan village, right? Started using this space as is, outdoors. You don't need to build a building on top. People are like, oh yeah, we can use an outdoor space, okay. And then thoughts started, developing, and I'm super happy that the folks who bought this business and are running it right now were inspired to do it and were inspired to use it as an outdoor space.
Just like how we saw over at the yard and how businesses, it inspired people, other creative individuals in the community to step up and bring it to the next level. So I'm kind of excited to see where it goes. We've really brought together a lot of those separate little groups, and we've created a community that is just continuously growing and continuously evolving and creating the community is just beautiful down here right now, and each year it's gotten more vibrant and more people are coming out, and people from out of the city are coming into Medicine Hat and seeing it, recognizing it, and some people are even moving here because they think it's really cool and creative. So
I think that it took a good amount of community support and community getting used to what we're doing, right? It's a little different concept. Pop-up parks are usually just garden-related thing that shows up in a place with essentially no authorization usually, and then it disappears after a very short time. And we took that concept and we kind of stretched it and bulked it, right? So we're here for a little while, not for one night, right? And then we're not just parks, we're kind of more than that. So once we were able to share that idea of, we transform spaces, whether they're vertical or horizontal, so parks or walls, and sometimes we just utilize spaces. So this park is here and we love it, but we can also utilize it more. So inviting people to use this space. So once we explained that idea, we were able to really throw a whole lot of events, get more spots. People are interested in us coming and helping them transform their spots. So, this year, like I've talked about before, we're doing Sanford Crescents, which is an area outside of downtown, but it's an area that was underutilized. It's a playground that had no playground. It was like a kids area that had nothing fun about it, aside from the kids. So having the word out and people aware that there's an organization that will come and help you put your vision as much as we can out there to use the space better is really how we got to grow. Make space for community to engage. And make space for community to engage might be a small lot downtown that we just utilized now. And it could be using a city park in a much more intense way, right? Like bring people here very intentionally, bring businesses here very intentionally, community groups, invite people to participate and be active in their community. Transformed, we're more active, it's more activist of a city. So sometimes you gotta activate people to help them find what it is that they're passionate about and what it is that they want to change in their community, how they want to impact, what sort of a butterfly effect they want to, start. And I think that's the biggest change. So there's more people who are willing to take the risk. There's more people who are doing the things so that reality changes. Yeah. The tunnel is really one of our, more old projects because we inherited it from a Street Artworks Association, and this one really took community to come together. So this is the pedestrian underpass between South Railway and North Railway streets in Medicine Hat. They're very well known because they run across or parallel to the train yard. And so this is the main route to come from the Flats neighborhood into downtown. This is one of those spaces that we saw that is being used, but maybe the wrong way. It was used as public washroom. It was used to put inappropriate words on the walls, and people really were deterred from coming there. So having groups and community come together and help us utilize that space as it could be, as a big art gallery. It literally changes daily, sometimes for the better, sometimes a little less. But it also gives us an opportunity when it's less nice, to come back and do it better. We invited folks to come through it and, like you said, change the perception of the city, change the perception of how our downtown feels. And it does take emotion, like it happens to be that businesses were opening downtown or were interested in the lots that we have started caring for, and they saw it and they got inspired, and now there's businesses and now there's no neglect and no dirt. There's just, vibrancy and community participation. The artist who's doing the last bits of the 2D playground for the children there, he grew up in that neighborhood. So one of our artists, Will Oscom, has been volunteering with us at the tunnel multiple times, has done, Spectrum Festival, has done huge walls with us, and he is the person who's putting together the art for the kids in the neighborhood that reached out to us. So it is definitely a full circle. It's definitely connecting those pieces, and that's what we hope to do. We just hope to be the network that allows, that communication, that allows these things to just transpire and happen. It feels very gratifying and, humbling, because it took going to different groups and putting yourself out there, being vulnerable and saying, I have a vision, this is my vision, do you share the vision, do you want to tweak my vision so it's our shared vision, and then, to the next organization and having the same conversation, inviting more and more people to the table, to the point where we have this awesome network. This specific weekend is a collaboration of so many groups, so Community Food Connections and Pride and Bike Medicine Hat and the United Youth Group. We have been doing this for long enough to feel confident in throwing bigger events in the relationship that we've built with all these different organizations. And even during pandemic, when it was kind of shameful and not okay to come together, we still held events. We held events with the regulations. We made sure that all our activities were both online and in person to allow more participation. And now that we're allowed to actually mingle close, we just get to do what we do best. So yeah, we're just grateful. We're more open, we're more tolerant, we're more patient, we're more inclusive, and that's a good direction to head out as a city, for sure.